Hello and welcome back to another episode of Becoming
Rock Solid.
And we're your hosts, Mindy
and Sean Harley.
And today's episode is really near and dear to our heart. We're getting a chance to sit down with a dear friend. He is a film producer, an entrepreneur, a strongman, and a stoic. His name is Samuel Freunstein.
And today we get to discuss one of my favorite topics, Stoic philosophy. Stoicism has just had a huge, major impact on my life. And about 7 years ago when we were in South Africa, I got to share a little bit of my Stoic philosophy with Sam, and it really perked his interest. In the last 7 years, he's become a pretty heavy student of Stoic philosophy. And so today we're going to discuss how Stoic philosophy has affected his mindset, his training as a professional strongman, and really just his life overall. And so we had a chance to catch up with Sam in Madison, Wisconsin recently when he was up here to compete for the World Strongman Games. So we caught up with Sam in a hotel conference room. Now, we didn't have our best recording equipment with us, so bear with us on any imperfections in the sound quality, but I guarantee you the substance of the conversation will greatly make up for any of that.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing the journey and the profound difference Stoicism has made in Sam's life. So let's get into it.
I keep it rockin' like Primus. I'm way too turned up on a mission. Ain't no sitting in silence. It's too electrifying shot. Find the muscle you're hiding hard at the pressure. I bring the pressure to the bitch. I don't ride and see me live. Get it right. Free your mind. We got some living to do. We bring it big from a trauma, make them sick. You know he flexing when they ask you who you with. We gon' rep it for life. Rock solid. Rock solid. Rock solid. We becoming rock solid.
Sam, you've been at this for years. You've been literally living your dream every single day. And, we've been able to experience incredible milestones with you, incredible hurdles. You've had, different types of injuries that you've overcome. You've had different personal battles that have happened to you over the years. And of course, we got to see you in Africa, Africa's strongest man as well, and cheer you on. So it's been incredible being a part of your journey and seeing you sacrifice and put in so much work all these years. And, with all of the time and energy that you've invested into every single prep that you've done, you've just, again, come out stronger and stronger and stronger. And I noticed that within the last few years, you've really seemed to have taken a deeper study into understanding the Stoicist aspect of things, looking at Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, all of these greats. And how has that changed your prep, your life from before when you were doing strongman competitions to now? And how has that changed everything for you?
And firstly, how did you get introduced to Stoicism?
Well, Sean actually introduced me to Stoicism, and it's I look at my life now as it's cut into two blocks. It's life prior to Stoicism and life after being introduced to it, because it's changed that profoundly. My strongman career has been 14 years in the making. That 14 years, and I'll just give you the kind of Reader's Digest highlights, but we've had 3 hip replacements, we've had a double knee replacement, we've had both quads reattached, both pecs reattached, hamstring reattached, tricep rupture, and then tons of just other injuries that just go by. I've gotten divorced during the period of that. So it's been a lot of things. Prior to Strongman, and this is the first time I'm speaking about it, and the reason I wanted to speak about it today is just because of you guys. It's something really just my family knows. But prior to Strongman, I battled cocaine, heroin, pretty much everything you can think about. Addiction for almost for a decade. And, Strongman saved my life. It gave me purpose. And, this year it's 14 years clean.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so the Strongman journey was always deeper for me than it was for the next guy. You know, the next guy might have just been for whatever. This I had to hang on to stay alive. But when Sean introduced me to Stoicism, it took on a whole different meaning. You know, there's a line I'm always reminded of from Seneca, where he says, "We treat the body rigorously so it stays obedient to the mind."
Mm.
And that's what I got from Stoicism. It's not, the prep is not just the physical part. It's not just, I mean, that's tough. The diet is tough. The sleeping, the saying no to friends, all of that stuff that's tough. And that plays in your head. And now you got 2-3 years of injuries. You come back, you don't perform as well. You know, if you get into your own head, that's a bad space to be in. Stoicism taught me to be present, to be here, to be grateful. Perfect example this morning at breakfast. The athletes sitting around and everybody, you could feel the nervous energy. But I could feel it. And the guys are like, "So, Sam, how you feeling? Are you nervous?" No. And it wasn't trying to be funny or arrogant. I said, no. He says, "Well, what do you think about it?" I said, "I'm thinking about finishing my Fruit Loops."
Yeah.
Because that was the task at hand. Nothing else. Nothing else was important. Because this is what I'm busy with. I know I've put in the work. Because I was managed to stay present every day. Good workout, bad workout, irrelevant. I learned from every workout. You know, we ultimately assign value to the workout. I walk out and I say, "Fuck, that was a bad workout." Am I allowed to say fuck? Sorry.
Oh yeah, you can say that.
You're fine. Yeah.
I was like, that was a bad workout. And then I'd sit and I'd reframe it. And I'd think, but it wasn't. I didn't feel great, but I finished. I got the numbers I wanted to. Good workout,
Still
Yeah.
growth.
Yeah,
still progress,
absolutely.
even if it wasn't your best.
Because I might wake up tomorrow morning, biggest stage of Strongman, and I don't feel good. I still need to perform.
Yeah.
So, there's no excuse. So it taught me to stay present. It taught me to be grateful for the tough reps, because it's the tough reps that makes the difference. I told a mate of mine, he said, because the car walk is a big event for me because of the hip replacements. It's a difficult one. And I said to him, "You know what? I'm so looking forward. I know it's going to hurt, but man, I'm looking forward to that, because I've managed to find whenever it hurts, the more it hurts, the more growth is on the other side, the better it is for me. I mean, 5 years ago, I would have given up on that weight. You train your mind enough, you want that weight. You want to push it more. You want to go heavier. And, we'll see what happens. We'll see who wins tomorrow, the weight or me. But regardless, getting under it, doing that's a win, period. So it's changed my outlook. It's taken pressure off me, because, you come to World's Strongest Man and you go, what if my friends, what if I suck and they see it on the live stream? No, it takes that pressure off, because, whatever fate hands me is what I was supposed to get. And I'm leaning into that. I'm loving that. So I'm so excited to see what the next couple of pages, have written. So
Yeah.
that has been the biggest change for me. And it's something that if someone asks me what advice I could give them on Strongman, it would be, before you got the coach, get Marcus Aurelius. Make sure he's part of the team.
Yeah.
That's going to make the biggest difference in your life.
Yeah.
Love that. I love that takeaway too, of just growth through struggle, or you need struggle to grow, And that goes back to the whole concept of, why does God allow evil?
Yeah.
Right? Like, if it was all good and we all just lived in a state of bliss, you wouldn't have any motivation to improve yourself, to better yourself, or work on yourself, right? And so all growth kind of comes through struggle.
There's I'm reminded of a story I read. It happened right after 9/11, and it was by Mr. Rogers. And they asked him about, how do you stay positive after something like that? Because, even in South Africa, I remember where I was. The day it happened, I walked into the gym and we were shocked. And he said, you look for the helpers. And then I started thinking, well, out of that, how many people got together? How many people helped? How many people put their cultural differences aside and, petty bullshit aside to help? So you look for the helpers. So in every situation, it's not good or bad. It's just a situation. We prescribe to it, whether it's good or bad. It's an opportunity. So even if all things look like it's going downhill, you look for the helpers, look for the good people, for the kind people, and you'll find them. And in that, you'll find why we're meant to be here. At least that's what I think.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And that even reminds me, just recently being in Florida with the hurricanes that were going on there, and someone was saying the same thing too, because there's this thing of survivor grief as well is a big thing. And that was along the same lines that was said too, as well. Look for, all the good in the situation, the community coming together, people that are being helped. Like there's a lot of loss and everything that's going on, but let's look at, the people that are coming together and helping as a community.
And it's not like you're minimizing their grief or their pain. You still acknowledge it.
Yeah.
But we can't stay there.
No.
At some point
You can't carry that pain for them.
What you can do is you can help, and that comes in so many different ways. And I mean, your podcast has really been a big source of that to many people. I mean, it has been to me. You listen to it, and every now and then you just pick up something that reminds you. I mean, like Sean, your post when he does reference the Stoic stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm reminded of that, and that's the beauty of surrounding yourself with good people. I do believe you become the sum of the people you spend the most of your time with. And, for the most part, I get to spend time with the greatest minds alive. I get to spend time with Epictetus when I want to, with Aurelius when I want to, with Seneca. And they are there. What happened then and what's happening now, it's the same thing. Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
I mean, people were assholes back then. They are still now.
Yeah.
But, we can take from that.
Yeah.
And that was the beauty out of it. And I mean, I still have the Alexander the Great, the book you gave. And I mean, that's in my library. And I look at them, I'm reminded of, that was with Africa's Strongest Man. It was the craziest thing. A week before the competition, I found out my wife was unfaithful. You guys were there for me. She left. You guys pretty much just moved into my house. I remember our first dinner we cooked, there was just steak. And Mindy was like, where's the sides? I'm going, oh, yeah. It was more meat.
The meat's the same.
Yeah, but, it was out of that something that would have absolutely flattened me, and it did. But the support of good people, a week later, I was able to compete. And, I'm so much stronger for it. So when you arrive in America and your bags are lost, it's no big deal, man, because you've dealt with so much worse stuff.
Yeah.
And often we need to remind ourselves just what we've been through. And, we're all pretty badass if you think about what we've gone through and we're still standing.
Yeah. That's a big, I forget the exact Marcus Aurelius quote, but it's something about don't stress about your future challenges. Know that you'll be able to face them with the same strength that you've got to where you are now. And now with even more experience than your previous challenge.
Yeah, I pity the people that haven't been challenged. How do you know your worth? I've trained with many, many guys over the last 14 years.
Yeah.
Now in South Africa, we've got, thank heavens it's kind of calmed down a bit now, but we had load shedding.
Yeah.
So you remember I was trying to do like a 3-week waiting for a video call where for like 4 or 8 hours at a time, they would just cut the country's power.
Yeah.
Sorry for you. Winter, off you go. And the training partners would be like, oh, load shedding. Sorry, we'll be training tomorrow. I go, no, my cell phone's got a light. And I'm sending videos to my coach. He's going, is there no light there? So I did 3-hour sessions with cell phone lights.
Yeah.
And I hated it. But when the lights came back on, I'm like, I don't care. Lights are on, cool. Lights are off, cool. Music on, yeah, I don't know. Forgot my earphones. I don't care, because I've been through that. And you get to a point where you're almost like, let's see what else we can handle, so bring it. And
that's probably one of the best benefits that I've taken away from Stoicism is don't stress about things that are out of your control. And like once you can like put that into your psyche and like truly live that, it is so liberating.
It's that exactly has been the biggest thing. Of tomorrow we have the log and the car walk. Log's my favorite event. 2 years ago, I snapped the tricep tendon off. It was crazy because I went to the ER, and this, I think it was a doctor, let's call it a doctor, because with the advice he gave me, you do question. He looked at it. Now the tricep was sitting right up here. He looked at it, he goes, "No, it's fine, it's just sprained." I'm going, okay. So 3 weeks later, I still can't hold my cell phone over my head.
Yeah.
I've been walking around with a tricep that's been off the bone, and we eventually got that attached. And so now it's the log. Now it's it's my best event, but am I gonna? I don't know. I'll see when I get there. It's out of my control. I've done everything I could have possibly done to prepare for it. If it's in the cards, fantastic. If it's not, fantastic, because then I know a little bit more work to do. No, I didn't fail. Just, figured out another way that didn't work. It takes me a step closer. It reminds me of the story with Thomas Edison. So his factory burned down.
Yes.
You know the story.
Good story, yes.
Yeah. And his factory burns down, and the whole family freaks out. And he says to his boy, he says, "Go call your mother and all her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." And I was like, whoa. So the next morning, the journalist interviewed him and like, "Mr. Edison, what are you going to do now?" He says, "Well, this keeps an old man from being bored." And it's just that. You can moan about it, you can cry about it.
Yeah. Him outside throwing a temper tantrum as his
100%.
Did that help anything at all other than, add more stress to his life?
Yeah, more cortisol.
Right.
And it takes me longer to get to a plan of action.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't think as clearly when you're in that state. Right?
No, Marcus Aurelius talks about immediate acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. Listen, it's not that
acceptance right now of everything. Yeah.
And something happens. I got here, my luggage got lost, and all my kit was in there. Yeah. And instead of going down the rabbit hole, now I'm not going to be able to compete. I'm not going to be able to train. What about all that time, all the money I put? I was just like, hey man, if it's going to get here, it's going to get here. If it's not going to get here, I'll figure it out. Yeah. It's all good. And the moment I accepted that, got to my phone and I had all these messages going, "Are you okay? Do we need to send?" It's all good, guys. It's all good.
Yeah.
And it was 2 days later, I got it. And I mean, the term fine is also relative. Would it have been fine if it didn't arrive here? Yeah, because that's how the universe wanted me to do this. I got my first chance at World's Strongest Man. Hell yeah, I want to do it without my own kit. That is badass. I was ready for that. I was ready for whatever was going to happen. And that took so much pressure off.
Just adds to the story.
Absolutely. It just, you let that legend grow. And it's like you said, it's a part of the story. Epictetus was a slave. And there's a famous story of his master kind of bending his leg and bending his leg and bending his leg. And at one point he said to him, "If you keep doing that, it's going to break." Mm-hmm. And what happened? It broke. Didn't say a word. He died with a limp. But he accepted it. And he accepted the fact that he doesn't have any control over that. You accept and you move on. It sounds easy, but if you live it, like we said, it needs to be a lifestyle. It needs to almost be seen as a blueprint of how you think.
It's like a textbook for life, right? Like a manual for living life. And I think when I read Stoicism, when I'm reading Marcus Aurelius or I'm reading Seneca, I'm there with a highlighter. I'm writing stuff down. I'm writing my own thoughts about things. And I'm really trying to ingrain that into me, because you can just read a nice meme in my stories on Instagram and like, oh, that's cute, and move on
and repost it, and
But unless you like get that into your psyche to where that's your natural reaction when you're faced with that challenge in life, it's not going to benefit you, right? Yeah. How do you study Stoicism to really get it into your head and live it?
The same. It's highlighter, it's writing, and then I'm journaling, and I'm going, okay, so how does this work for me? Seneca talks about putting your day up in for review. I do that. And I go, all right, okay, I fucked up over here. I want to fix that tomorrow, or this, or that, or the next thing. And it's kind of lost my train of thought on where I wanted to go. When you talk about textbook for life, the Enchiridion, which is the shortened version of Epictetus's discourses, when you translate that, it literally means handbook for life. And that's what it is. So at that point in my life, I just gotten out of my relationship, my marriage, as you guys know. All these injuries, everything, work wasn't great. We were going to shoot a movie, investor pulled out, and wow, it could not have come at a better time. I was at a point where I said, okay, let me just give the Stoicism thing. Let me just have a look at it.
What was your first read, Marcus?
Yeah, Meditations. And so every year because I reread it often, twice a year at least, I use different highlighters for different years. And now I go through it. I mean, it looks like the LGBTQ flag in there, but when I go through it now, I go, wow, look at where I was in my life back then, because that was important to me. And that's what I took out of it, because I write the little note. And now that sentence means something completely different.
Yeah.
So
seeing it with new eyes.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Aurelius. It speaks to you differently at different points in your life.
Right.
And I'm rereading Epictetus now. Right prior to that, I read General Stockdale. I think can't remember his title, but he was shot down over. You're not familiar with the story?
No.
I'll give you the right. Stockdale, some general or major or whatever. He was shot down in World War II, in Vietnam. And he carried Epictetus with him. He carried the discourses with him. And as he was going down, his words were, I'm entering the world of Epictetus. Because he knew this is going to be hairy. And he was in the POW camp for 5 or 6 years. And he said, who didn't make it? The people who had hope. They hoped tomorrow, it's going to happen tomorrow. They didn't make it. They didn't accept this is where they were. And they kept thinking about tomorrow. And when tomorrow came and it didn't happen, he was all sad. And he didn't. He just kind of owned what he was. And his job, his function, was not to spill secrets and to stay alive. That's it. It was his only job. And he did. He got back. He got all kinds of medals. And, after reading his book, I went like, oh, I'm only scratching the surface of what this can do for me as a human, as a son, as a friend, as an athlete, especially.
As a man.
Yeah, because you know what Sean, you guys know, you can't control the weather, you can't control the crowd, you can't control what the other guys are doing, how good they are, how strong they are, how fast they are.
How they act towards you and everything else. Yeah.
I can just control how I play. So I know what I'm going to do. I know because I've done it 1,000 times in training. I've done it 1,000,000 times as a kid, standing in my underwear in front of the mirror, knowing that I'm the world's strongest man. So you've done that 1,000,000 times. And now you get to live that life, is there anything better in this world than to give up so much and to get there and live it? It's irrelevant what happens here. I couldn't care less. I'm living that life. And it's very, very largely thanks to Stoicism.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. I just want to make the point here too. We were talking about Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, how at opposite ends of the spectrum these two were in their lives, right? On one hand, we got born into slavery, another one basically born into becoming the most powerful man in the world. You can get more diverse than that.
And what was interesting is neither one of them wanted that role.
Right.
I mean, just the word Epictetus means to be owned.
Mm-hmm.
Aurelius didn't want to be emperor because you looked at all the emperors past and they were all terrible humans.
Right.
And he didn't want that. And then he had that dream where he was running around the stars with shoulders made of ivory. And he knew that this was his fate. This was his destiny.
Yeah.
And
he accepted that.
Yeah. And once he accepted that, he became
one of the 5 good Roman emperors.
Absolutely. And probably next to Sun Tzu's Art of War, the most read tactical warfare, just book that a man should read. Somebody asked me, the 3 books you should read as a man. It's Marcus Aurelius, it's Sun Tzu, and it's the Bible. The Bible, if it's for you, if it's not for you, it's irrelevant. the parables that come out of that, I found was very stoic. It's about acceptance, not hurting, not being vengeful. So it all just encompasses focusing on you, being present. I tell people, be where your feet are. Life's a lot easier. I was paging through my journal just before I came, trying to just grab all of this. And I got to a page, and it was just this one sentence I wrote on the page. I'll never forget the sentence. It says, "Hey, Sam, I'm chatting to you from the present. It's pretty fucking cool here." And I'll hang on to that forever.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Marcus Aurelius' book wasn't a book. It was just his...
It was his journal. Man, can you imagine what he would be like if he knew everybody was reading his journal?
And how profound of a mind must you have for that to be your journal?
And I related so much to him because, like Marcus, I've got a bit of a temper issue. I struggle with my temper. And over the last 3 years, it's calmed down so much. Hey, I still lose it every now and then. It takes me a bit longer and I don't stay there as much. He talks about when that happens, celebrate the fact that you're human, and as soon as possible, return back to the rhythm of your dance. And that's what we do. I screw up, I go, there we go, okay? And I'm back to where I...
Yeah, and understanding how much, it's okay to be angry sometimes.
Sure.
And some things warrant anger because that moves you into action, But then it's understanding how much anger do I need to give this thing? Do I need to carry this for the next week, next month, next 10 years, 50 years of my life?
Hold on to it forever. Yeah.
So it's the story about the two monks, right?
Oh.
Yeah. They kind of stroll down the road and there's this woman that's struggling to get over the stream. Now, the Tibetan monk's not really allowed to touch women or anything. So after a while, this one monk goes, picks her up, carries her across the street, puts her down on his way. So his mate, clearly irritated, under the breath, the whole thing. And 2 hours later, he turns around, he says, "Why did you carry her? You know you're not allowed to." He said to him, I carried her 5 yards. You've been carrying her 3 kilometers. And it's that. And you don't realize how much shit you carry until you let it go. And then you realize, and I think people stop because it becomes lonely then. Then you realize how many people aren't making the effort to look for peace. And how many people take from your peace. And you avoid that for no other reason than my own sanity. And then you take a look around, you go, wow, I don't have that many friends left, do I? And that's the beautiful thing, because you don't need many. You need a handful of people that come hell or high water, they will fly from Miami to here with shoes, Uber the shoe. It's just crazy the amount of, that's your people, and then you can be that person for them. So yeah, it's
quality over quantity.
Absolutely, and that's what it's about. And when I was younger, I didn't believe that, and that's fine. I think you have to go through that journey, but yeah, definitely, it's been a life changer.
Yeah, and even just from Africa's Strongest Man to now the World's Strongest Man, what has been I guess maybe one of the most profound ways that you've noticed in your training that has changed since then?
Mins, the stronger you get, the more bad sessions you're going to have, because the weight you're chasing is so much bigger. And when you string 3 or 4 bad sessions in a row, as an athlete, you get really hard on yourself. And then self-doubt starts kicking in. And once you're down, that's a slippery slope. How it's affected me, I'll quote Seneca when he said, "I've made great progress. I've become a friend to myself. I'm not that hard on myself. I have a bad, hey, Sammy, you got on the weight, you did everything you could. You can't give more than that. I cannot physically give more than everything. And, but then everything's not good enough." No. Everything I gave, I need to give a little more. So I need to go and find more. I need to train a little harder, then I'll be able to give more. Then I'll get there. So it's not failing. It's just, see it as kind of a status, as the check engine light.
Yeah.
You miss a lift to go check engine. Then I go and I sit and I take my day in review and I go, okay, have I eaten as well as I should? Yes. Okay. Have I slept Yes. Have I hydrated? Yes. Have I managed my stress? Nope. There we go. So that's what I need to do. So failing a lift has been immensely valuable for me to be a better human, to get my life into balance. Where in the past, that would have been stuck in my head on replay for the next week until I lift that. And then it's not fun anymore. I stopped enjoying the sport when I got there. I mean, I'm still competitive. It's not, you're not giving up the competitive edge, but you're just being kind to yourself. You understand that you are just human, and you do need to maybe it takes a little longer. Hell, there's a bunch of guys doing World's Strongest Man in their first or second year doing Strongman. It took me 14 years. That was just my journey. It's not better or worse. That was just my journey. And I'm so grateful that it took 14 years because I'm incredibly proud of the discipline and the resilience that I've given through all those injuries. So, now I'm next to a guy and we're doing a yoke run. I know what I've been through. He doesn't want it as bad as I do. And I love that. I look at what I've conquered. This is nothing. I will conquer this eventually. Yeah. If it's not now, I don't care. Eventually I will get there. And I guess that's why I'm still going 14 years later.
You look back at the 14 years and you're like, I love the way it's played out. I'm happy I didn't get here, 2 years ago or whatever else in 5 years, 8 years, right? It's about that journey.
I mean, Mins, you guys have known me for that long. I had a terrible ego back then. I was very much ego driven. It was all about being better than anyone else around me. And then I didn't enjoy the sport because I wasn't better than everyone else. That sucked. I hated it. To a point where if someone asked me about a lift, I'd lie about my numbers. And I'd sit at home going, wow, mate, you can't even be honest with yourself. Why are you even doing it? This is being toxic. This sport you love is being toxic. So you either stop it or you reframe why you're doing it. Remind yourself why you're doing it. And I was sitting the night and I was thinking about moving house, and there was a little kid, couldn't have been older than 3 years old, on the pant leg, and I looked down and he's like, hello, Mr. Hulk, thank you for saving the universe. Okay, bye. And he ran off again. And I remembered that's why. That's why I'm doing this. And
because you used to be that little boy.
Yeah.
Looking up those strong.
Literally. I mean, I remember being in my first rugby game, waiting for someone, and my big hero is Joel Stransky. He gave me his socks. It's the core memory, man, right there.
Were they fresh or used?
Oh, no, they were soaking wet. My mother still complains about having to carry them.
Washed them. Yeah. I'll never wash these.
Yeah. I realized that a big thing that, and I'm not there yet, but Stoicism was helping me get there, is to come, and that's why we get upset about things, because it's our ego. I'm trying to come from a place of humility. Push ego aside, because it's not about me. We're part of a whole, and what's good for the bee should be good for the hive. And at that point, it wasn't. It was just about the bee. It wasn't about the hive. The moment I made it about the hive, man, things fell into place. And now I'm loving it. Now I know my worth is not determined by my position in the rankings. My worth is not determined by my deadlift or my log. My worth is determined by how proud I am when I look in the mirror. And I go to sleep at night knowing that all these guys that have backed me all these years, they saw something I didn't. And you really become grateful when you're able to see that. And that's what Stoicism gave me. It gave me a fresh, honest view of myself, because I was looking at a mirror that had water on it. Just, I couldn't. It was just too much. But once the water settled and everything became clear, and I was quiet. I think stillness is so important. When you're present, the noise is gone. Yeah. And the stillness made the water calm, and I could see me for me. So that's why this weekend, for me, it's not about Strongman. Oh man, it's a celebration of this.
The journey.
Yeah. It's the end of part 1 in my trilogy, this is how it ends. So I'm excited, 42 years old, and I can't wait for the next 40, I can't wait to see what fate has given me, because the moment I own what's given to me, I've grown. Can you imagine how much I'm going to grow in the next 10 years? I can't wait to meet that guy, because the one 20 years ago was an asshole. This guy's okay. We can deal with him.
He's coming around.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, he's like a fungus. He grows on you. But in 10 years from now, wow. So it's more than...
Be a little wider beard, a little wiser.
Absolutely.
South African Santa?
Oh, yeah. Aurelius talks about what is it within itself. When you take all the marketing, all the hype, all the hype, all the noise away. What is it within itself? It's a bunch of guys who's all bucked in the head with our own demons going to go lift some weights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Breaking things down to their natural parts. It's another big Stoic lesson.
Then it's not that scary.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what it is. I get to celebrate the thing I love with like-minded people and friends. How cool is that? And that takes that nerves away.
Yeah.
I don't feel nervous. I feel gratitude. That's what I'm feeling. Sure, before the event, headspace a little different. You want to go.
As you're walking out on stage, you
yeah.
might be racing.
Sure. And that's the competitiveness in me. And I love the competitiveness in me. So, I'm gonna fire.
You don't need to run out and meet that ahead of time either, right? You don't have to have that nervousness now.
No, it'll be there for me. It'll be there. And a lot of times you go there beforehand, and I'm tired before I even get there.
Yeah. Your adrenaline, you've been pumping adrenaline for 24 hours, get ready for this.
And you wake up. I mean, you see it when I was younger. I was that guy that was like, screaming and shouting. And I'd be tired before I get to the lift. Because you see with that, and you find your own vibe. And so when you get there, then you fire. But you don't need to now. Now, there's a time for that, and you'll get there. And I guess that comes with experience and with age.
Yeah. I learned that back in college football, because be in the locker room, guys are slapping each other, getting ready for the fight, and then by the time you get to the field, you're drained of adrenaline, right? But you got to kind of slowly climb that mountain and peak at the right time.
It's a flow state, isn't it? Yeah. And that's something that I spent a lot of time researching. How do you get in the flow state? Because you talk to all the great athletes, Jordan, Woods, Ali, Tyson, all the legends. You ask them, and I remember they asked Tiger about a drive he had or an approach shot. He goes, I don't know, can't remember. It just happened. Jordan, what do you think when you're throwing the three?
Yeah. I think he's thinking about his elbow being in at the right angle, and
his head's clear. Yeah. And that's that flow state where you just let things flow the way they should. And Stoicism's been that for me. I can't control the outcome. I control my movement. That's it. Once the club head has hit the ball and the ball's gone, that's out of my hands, man. That's my, so that's helped. And that flow state has kept me calm. And, you just kind of manage it. I can feel when the nerves come, or I can feel when this comes, and you just kind of dial it back or push it up, or it's great.
And what's good about that is you become the observer of those emotions. And, we're talking about nerves here, but that's also when you're angry or in day-to-day life, somebody cuts you off in traffic, you start to feel this anger. You can almost like feel its presence in your body, and you can kind of look at it as from an observer point of view. That's something that helped us when we're studying acting too, right? So for me, I need to bring anger. And so I've observed myself in real life to know what that anger kind of feels like. Where do I feel it in my body? Is it in my throat? Is it in my chest? What does that energy feel like? And then bringing that out at the appropriate time.
What color is it? Does your hands quit? You got all these little telltale signs. And, I know, because when my anger or my anxiety kicks in, it's generally because I'm coming from a point of ego.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you cut me off?
Right.
Or how dare you say no? And then I kind of just take a step back and I smile and I say, oh, you still got that ego thing, don't you? Oh, yeah, okay. And that's okay, because I know where it comes from. And once you know where it comes from, it's so much easier fighting a demon if you know where it lives, if you know what it looks like.
Yeah. And I think that's honestly a good way to look at ego as demons, and whether that's literal or metaphorical or just a visual kind of lesson. It's something that kind of helped me is looking at it as a separate entity, and that's a good, I think, lesson in ego work in general. I think it's even easier if you don't look at the ego as one thing, but you look at it as mini egos. So so there's this one ego that comes when I get cut off in traffic. There's this one ego that comes when Mindy says the wrong thing to me and it triggers something in me.
Or someone says, "Oh, you've lost weight. You look great." I go, "Oh, there we go."
You're getting skinny. Yeah. And so, like when it says kill the ego, it's not, you're never going to kill the ego. I mean, this is how we function in
Because
the
ego is
physical
important.
realm. Yeah,
Yes.
we need that.
Yeah.
But it's killing off these egos and these ones that we don't need and killing those off and absorbing those.
Because those come because there's a lack of, and at least for me, it is a lack of self-belief. So now I'm hurt when they say it feels like then there's a void. The ego is there to protect me from being vulnerable. And you know my history with relationships. I'm about as good with relationships as I am with algebra. I'm not good with algebra. When it doesn't work out, I tend to take it all on me. And something wrong with me, and it's not that. That's my ego being hurt. How about maybe she's got her own stuff? Maybe I'm just not her type. Maybe, how about that? How about it's not always me? And then you start understand it's about being a friend and being, it's okay. This is my self-worth. I know what I'm worth. And I know what I'm worth because if I look back, there's a tangible track record of good friends I have. And if I was such an asshole, I wouldn't have had these friends. So okay, so I'm cool with that. Whatever her issue is her issue. Aurelius talks about not having an opinion. That's my superpower.
You don't have to have an opinion about everything.
No.
People these days think we do, right?
Yeah.
And
that really blows people's mind in politics or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why aren't you using your platform to speak about this? I don't have an opinion on it. What do you mean?
This TV told me my opinion.
I was asked what my opinion was on Russia and Ukraine. And I said to them, I'm of the opinion that I don't like kids and animals being killed. But that's as far as it stretches. I don't know enough. I don't like what's happening, but I don't know enough. And I just don't have an opinion about it. I just don't want to have an opinion about it.
So why pin yourself into a side without all the information that may be against what you believe in your core?
I don't want to sound like I don't care because my heart really goes out, but I just don't want to have an opinion. And that's my right to not want to. Doesn't mean I don't care. It means I choose not to engage and have an opinion.
Because every opinion is put yourself in another box too, right? And every box we put us into separates us from other people.
Separates us from ourselves as well. Because now I have to live that box.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just comfortable.
And a lot of people can't get into a different box once they put themselves in one, no matter the evidence that's in front of them.
And I'm so we had the most incredible conversation last night over dinner about wokefulness. And I'm very happy to be proven wrong on things because I'm here for knowledge. That's it. That's my goal is acquisition of knowledge. And if the knowledge I have is shown to be incorrect, I'm so grateful for that.
But I found the right information.
100%, regardless of what that looks like. Yeah. So you need to be self-aware and self-confident enough to accept that the truth might not always be the version you want to hear.
Yeah, and what's the Aurelius line for that? If somebody was to prove me wrong, I'm grateful. It's the truth I'm after, and that's all that matters, I think it says. Yeah. And if the truth should hurt you, so be it.
Yeah. But then it's that, there's pain that hurts and there's pain that teaches.
Yeah.
That's the pain that teaches.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take that with you, you're a better person.
Yeah.
It's the Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny effect. That day you find out the Easter Bunny isn't real. If there's kids watching, it is real. But the day you find that out, your whole world is ripped to shreds. But somehow you get over it and you become better for it.
Right.
And this is the same with what's going on now, what you guys are doing a phenomenal job at. Showing me a truth I didn't want to hear. But I want to hear the truth, but I don't like the way it sounds, but it's still the truth. So if I'm true to myself, I accept that truth, I own that truth, and I move on with it.
Yeah, and when you pursue the truth, I think that just stops you from, having the wool pulled over your eyes and keep you from being a victim. And, we saw this a lot during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
I was just after the truth there too. And I'm in hindsight, I'm really glad that was the case.
Yeah.
A lot of people have the wool pulled over their eyes,
I was one of them. And, I think people wake up in different areas and different times, and, when they need to, but mostly if they are okay enough with themselves. If you love yourself, if you're good with who you are, with your place in the sun, it's easier to accept the external stuff, because the external stuff doesn't influence me. I've got no control over it. I've got no control over who runs the government, who really runs it. I don't have any control over that. I only have control over my response, and my response is X, Y, Z. That's it. It's as simple as that. So we try and take on a lot more than I think is necessary. Seneca says we suffer more in imagination than we do in real life. And that is probably the truest quote to ever come out of Stoicism for me.
If you were to sum it all up, that really says.
Because that's me. I mean, I had my dichotomy of control was completely thrown out the window. I was a control freak. If everything was in my control, obviously. Wow, the ego on that guy. And that's when people say to me, they say, but what about? I say, dude, you're not that important. The weather couldn't care. The world doesn't care about your opinion, whether you're sad, whether you're happy. The weights doesn't care whether your girlfriend cheated on you or whether you're bankrupt. And that's why I love Strongman. It's pure. 220 pounds is 220 pounds. Whether you're white, pink, gay, straight, can identify as a generator or you're whatever, it's the same thing. It's the only truly honest thing we have. And it's measured by, can you lift it or not? And if you can, great. If you can't, get better.
That's what I didn't like about bodybuilding. It's subjective. This is objective.
100%. I mean, bodybuilding, don't even get me started on that. Yeah. But personally, I thought you should have beaten Chris all those years ago. But with Strongman, I don't have that issue.
Yeah.
If the judges like me or not, I don't care. If you're strong enough.
It's not a popularity contest. It's nothing but performance.
Yeah, the crazy thing is people win even without social media. I mean, just
whoa.
I know, right?
Whoa, what?
Imagine that. What a time to be alive.
What a waste of likes.
So that's why the sport appeals to me. It's a crazy sport. It's extreme. It hurts most of the time. I don't wake up a day that I'm not in pain.
It's got to be one of the toughest sports to prepare for, I think. I would imagine, just because you're really, that and like maybe MMA where you're getting punched in the face all day. But
this is
those
true.
kind of sports.
Bare knuckle boxing.
Bare knuckle boxing or something.
Goodness.
But they're individual. It's just you don't have a team. You have a team, people that support you, but
on the
you're
platform,
the one
it's
training.
just me, man.
Yeah, there's nobody.
That was my issue with rugby. Yeah. I would go and I would train my ass off. The other guys wouldn't.
Right.
And when we were holding the trophy, they were holding it as much as I was.
Yeah.
They asked Michael Jordan once, why is he such a ball hog? And he says, because I know how hard the guys work. I know what time they get to practice. I know what time they leave. I'd rather take it on myself. And that's why I love that. If I perform poorly, I'm to blame.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it simple. It makes it easy. It's tough. It's a lot of pressure. It's not for everyone. You need to have a weird relationship with pain, I think. Because you can't be completely 100% right in the head to go and chase that pain. There's something, some people run into the fire, other people run away. I think it's maybe something to do with that. But this weekend going in, I know it's going to hurt. Everything's going to hurt, man. By Sunday, even my beard is going to hurt. And there's something weird about wanting that.
Yeah. Rewarding. It makes you feel like you did something. Yeah.
Makes you feel alive.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I feel alive the most. Under the lights, when you feel man, even when you miss it, even when something tears, I'm alive, I'm there, I'm feeling it, I'm present in my own life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sitting on the stands. Theodore Roosevelt wrote that beautiful poem, Man in the Arena. And when they talk about, that's what it's about. It's not being on the sidelines. It's about knowing the pain of victory and failure. And then Rudyard Kipling wrote If, one of my favorite poems. And he says, if you can learn to treat failure, if you can learn to treat failure and success as the two imposters that they are, you'll live a long life. And it's true, failure and success are imposters because we give them the meaning. Yeah, Shakespeare said, things are but the good or bad because you let it be so. You choose whether it's good or bad. It's just information. What we do with that is up to us. So it's become so much more philosophical. Marcus Aurelius says life is much more like wrestling than it is a dance.
Yeah.
And that relates to me because life is pain, life is struggle.
Yeah.
But that's part of the life experience.
Yeah. Seneca's got a line, life is not a dainty business.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
You go out to the street, you might get befouled by mud. Somebody might throw a rock at you. You know, you can't control that. You can only control how you respond. And would you rather, his other one is, would you rather, I think this might be the same letter, would you rather spend a life in a cafe or a camp?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Love
Would
that.
you live your life in a cafe, being served food and sitting on your ass all day, or a camp where you're out there in nature and you're fighting for your own survival?
You know, I pity someone who's not been tested. Because how can you go through life without knowing what you're capable of?
Mm-hmm.
And a year ago, I was capable of this. Now I'm capable of more. Where will I be in 10 years from now? So it's that perpetual chase to be better. I am addicted to being better. I was better thing to be addicted to than what I was, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's in that growth, and that comes in many ways. It doesn't just come on how much you can lift. It's how do you handle the loss? How do you handle the injury? How do you handle victory? How do you handle helping? There's so much to it.
Becoming a better stoic as you're becoming a better strongman, right?
100%.
You know, in some amount of years, the strongman's going to go away for you as you age, and the stoicism will probably be strong, and you'll be getting better at that, right?
And you know, it's a season. Like, you know, there's cycles in everything. Life is a cycle, and you know, strongman is a cycle. It will end. So knowing that has made me much more present in my workouts because it can be taken away like that, and then it's done. So, you know, I try and do this workout and go, okay, I've probably got another good 30, 40 years left of life. I'm probably only going to be able to train 20 years. That means I only got 200 leg sessions left. Only 200 legs, that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, something to think about.
So you hold back, you've cheated yourself out of a good moment. Now, I love myself more than to cheat myself out of a good moment. So, you know, once you start, and people go, wow, that's so depressing to think like that.
No.
It's not. It's life affirming.
It's the opposite,
Yeah.
Because it's a reality.
Yeah. There's the mortality clock deal that's on the screensaver that we got from John. I was going to download. So yeah, it goes on your screen and it's the mortality calendar, and every day on your desktop it shows you how many days you have left on this earth. And you're like, oh shit! All right, let's get shit done today. Let's be present. And
Memento mori.
Memento mori.
Remember, you must die.
Yeah, you know, Seneca said it's not that life is short; it's that we waste so much of it.
Exactly.
You know, he wrote a book on the brevity of life. People say, on the plane, I had some guy say, oh man, life is too short. I said, no. Life's not short, dude. Life is long.
It's use it.
Plenty long. Yeah. You're just not using it. He says, well, how can you say that? I said, because you just said it's short. That's how I can say it. Because the moment you understand using life, you'll know that it's long enough to achieve great things. I mean, I read this article about a dude. He became a doctor, an astronaut, and a physicist in one lifetime. He did all three. And I was like, well, it's definitely not brain power and mind, not saying, but yes, you can fit everything in there. You know, you can fit a couple of lifetimes into it.
Yeah, and you just think about your day to day, right? You have a day where you're just busy from noon to night. That was a long day. You did a lot there. You have a day where you're just sitting on your ass and the day just floats by. Where'd the day go? You don't even remember it the next day, right?
Yeah.
You look back and you go, wow, this year has flown. No, it's not. The year flies, the days go by slow.
The amount of stuff you did in that time, you know, if it was a lot or a little, will dictate your
people
perception.
go and they tick off, I've done this and this, I've done these three things. No, it must be because the year's been really fast. No, you've just been lazy, dude.
Yeah.
So it's just reframing everything, and literally every positive thing we've had this discussion about has become part of Stoicism gave to me. Some of it I've done before I knew about Stoicism, but it's part of it. And just embracing that has been oh man, it's changed my life. That's why I've said it's life before and life after that.
Yeah. That's so cool to see, being the one who introduced you to Stoicism.
Yeah.
But I've introduced other people to Stoicism, and, it didn't stick around for more than a week. And so it's just awesome when you help somebody discover something and see it has such a dramatic impact on their life.
Mate, it's something I will always be grateful for. I mean, when people say to you, you've changed my life, you literally have. You've given me the insight and the tools to be able to live the life I've always wanted.
Yeah. I'll leave that honor to Marcus Aurelius and Seneca to change my life.
But, I mean, and this is a discussion. I mean, the last time we saw each other was 6 years ago. And the conversations have been full of wisdom. You can have those every day with the greats. You read the book, you have that conversation.
Right.
And I was never a reader. Now I've got my own little library rocking at home, and
you get into philosophy.
Oh yeah,
and it's like it's studying for life, and it's like putting on your armor too. It's like arming yourself against the world.
Do you ever find that when you discuss that, when someone says, so what's your interest? What are you reading? And you tell them philosophy, they go, oh, there we go. It's almost like it's people put on airs around it. Do you ever find that, or?
So I think most people that I get in that conversation with are clients usually, and so they're they're interested in that, and I get a lot of them to go on and read it. But yeah, I do see some of that with maybe the NPC types, or the people that they're just watching cable television at night and they haven't read a book in 20 years since they were in school or something. Yeah. And so for them, just the concept of reading, as soon as you say that, they're just like, oh, I can't read. I don't read. I'm like, you don't read. Like, there's so much knowledge in these old books.
Yeah.
Well,
you're missing out on.
It was some general, forget. But he said, if you're not reading 5 books a year, you are functionally illiterate.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Probably right.
And I believe that.
Yeah.
Because where are you getting your opinions from?
Yeah. And I think most people just can't focus in this day and age.
No, they can't.
They're so used to the phone world, right? And that's something that I like about reading is it helps me maintain that focus. And, sometimes I'll read a whole page and then I will not remember a thing I've read because as I was reading, my mind was thinking about something.
And I go back.
So you go back and read and slowly.
And that's why I prefer the physical book, the tangible paper.
Yeah. It is better. Yeah.
It just feels more connected,
And with the highlighter.
And that's why journaling, people say to me, I ask them, when they come to me, they go, Sam, I'm in a good space. And I go, do you journal? They go, yeah, on my phone, there's a journaling app. I go, wait. Do you physically write? No. And I tell them the quote from Anne Frank, where she says, paper is more patient than people. And, I'm writing my journal, and then you start going. And the next thing is like 5 pages later. And you're going, you don't know what you're writing, but you're going. And when you're done, you're like, it's incredible. And I would never have journaled if it wasn't for Marcus Aurelius. Because if I wanted to live a better life, I mean, I'm reading his journal, right? So I'm kind of following his advice. So if he thinks journaling is a good idea, then it probably is. So let's try it. And
if he could take time to do that while he's, fighting the Germans and out of war.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was doing that in the camps half of the time.
Exactly.
Oh, and that's the other one. I don't have time. It's the same with the training. I don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy that he had the same 24 hours that we have.
Yeah.
Yet he found time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The problem is you think you have time.
Yes. Absolutely. I love that. And we don't if we waste it. We'll do it tomorrow. We'll get, he says, and this is like probably the greatest podcast of quotes, but where he says you could be great today, yet you wait until tomorrow. I read that and that one day just hit.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah. How long will you put off being the person you should be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's my best. To get back to when people, talk about philosophy and they go, oh, wow. I had friends that would go, it's been a terrible year. But come January, everything's changing, man. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I go, really? Really? So the date, that's going to make a difference, huh?
Yeah.
and I just and I cut myself off from them. I don't want that. I want someone to say, Sam, now. What's the time? It's now.
Make that change now.
Yeah, next time someone asks you what the time is, tell them now.
Yeah.
See how they react.
Yeah. Not now.
Yeah, South Africa. Everything is now. So
The only time that really exists.
yeah, it's now. That's it. That's gone.
There's no future. There's no past.
Seneca talks about, I think it's Seneca, talks about we're afraid of death, something in the future. It's not. I've 42 years, dead. I've been, that time's gone. It's dead. It's dead time. I've been dead longer than do you know what I mean? So death is not a thing there. Death is here. It's right here. And when I leave here, this podcast moment will be dead forever.
Right.
So,
But it'll live on for eternity on the internet.
Thank God for the internet. And so does that other video of mine, but we won't talk about that.
The internet never forgets.
Oh, no. I love how people go, I'm just going to delete those photos and no one will ever know. I go, oh, yeah, there we go. But it's just about being present, man. It's that is Stoicism for me. To sum it up for me, know what you can control. If you can't control it, don't give it more energy than it deserves, and be where your feet are. If you can do that, things will work out.
Yeah. And the being in the moment tip, I mean, that's Buddhism, and that's, all kinds of different religions and philosophies.
So if all the religions and all the philosophies have one thing in common, I mean, and we have wonderful conversations about religion, Christianity, Judaism, all their commandments, their kind of rules, all kind of much the same thing. So if they're all the same, there must be something to it. The greats say that success leaves clues. So go look at the successful people. Look at what they do. They leave clues, and it's this stuff. They're present. So no, incredible gift, and I really recommend anybody to take it up. I mean, personally, I think you should write that book. I really do. An introduction to Stoicism, the way you see it, because the way you explained it to me got me into it. If I got sent the Ryan Holiday YouTube channel, I'd be, this is quaint, and that would have been it.
Yeah.
So that's how much I believe in it. And the success of the message is determined by the validity of the speaker. And look at your life. Look at the beautiful life you've put together. I've known Mindy prior to Sean, and I can see how she's changed since you've been in her life. So the validity of the speaker is 100% there. So shut up and listen to the message.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah, my check's in the mail. The receipt's in the invoice.
Yeah. Oh man, no, that's a beautiful summary of that. But yeah, no, I agree. Write the book. But yeah, no, that's.
I'll do the forward.
Mission accepted. All right.
Forward. Done. No, that's been beautiful and profound and inspiring to hear all of that, Sam. And just, it's the same thing. I've known you for years, and I've seen, the evolution of Sam as well. And I'm just so proud that our souls had this contract in this lifetime, and we all get to share this together, because like I said, it's been an incredible journey. And like I said, it's been so incredible to see your journey as well, and the progression here to Wisconsin, right? And everything that we've gotten to witness so far through all these years. So yeah, it's a testament to your strength, your resilience, your determination, and the person that you really are. So
thank you so much.
Yes. Thanks for joining us today. And been such a pleasure watching you blossom since I've known you, and having someone like you in my life that I can sit down and have these kind of conversations with is, very, very grateful for that.
Guys,
best of luck this weekend at your show.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for having me. Best of luck, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yes, awesome. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.